Welcome to another Scott's Case Files production. This time, Modiphius's Dune Adventures in the Imperium. So, before we get to our introducing our guests are here for the stars of the show, the players. And again, there was a reason that they're above me. They are the stars of the show, and they always will be. Before we get started, I kind of want to just take a quick couple minutes to talk about Dune and why this is an important campaign for me. So basically, when I was a kid, and I'm old, you may be able to kind of grasp that. When I was a kid, my dad and I didn't bond on a whole lot, but what we did bond on was sci-fi. He got me into Star Trek when I was a kid. We saw the original Star Wars, the movie theater, because that's how old I am. And when the movie Dune came out, he wanted to go check it out. So I'm like, all right, well, I watched Siskel and Ebert, which you don't know what those are, but they were movie reviewers who had a TV show a long, long time ago. And they didn't like it. And what I saw from the movie, I didn't like it either. And it was just kind of like, it was the religious messiah come to, blah, blah, blah. Like, oh my God, not my kind of movie. Anyway, but a few things we bonded on. So I went with my dad to the movie to see Dune. And as you walk in the movie theater, they gave you a sheet of paper, had something on both sides. It was an abridged version of the Dictionary of the Imperium, as you see in the end of the Dune novel. Basically because it was that complex, and it was already like a 2-hour plus movie. So they kind of had to jam a lot in there and give it. Anyway, so we saw it and I loved it. And even though a lot of people don't like David Lynch's Dune, I really did. And I got into the books and everything else. And I'm a role player, as you might notice. And there wasn't a Dune game. And then suddenly announced at Gen Con one year, many years ago, Dune being released by Last Unicorn Games, who had put out a Star Trek game, several books of it, in fact. And I bought up a copy. And it sucked. It sucked so hard. And then they went bankrupt. They literally went bankrupt right after releasing it. And there were no errata. There were no follow-ups. There were nothing to make all the sucky things about it better. And it died. Years later, as I will get into when I talk about Steve, I actually did a homebrew of Cortex Plus Firefly into a Dune. I played a year-long campaign of that. But I'd been dying for a Dune game my whole adult life, as we have learned from my monologue here. And finally it's here, and it doesn't suck. And there are a lot of awesome things I like about the 2D10 thing. There's a bunch of stuff I don't quite get yet that we're all fighting for. The conflict system. Anybody watching knows exactly what I'm talking about. But we're going to get it. It's going to make sense. I've been doing my research. It's going to be fine. Not to worry. So with that said, I've been waiting for this game my whole adult life, and here is my first campaign in this game. So it's quite important to me, and we got some awesome players here to help play out the campaign. And I thank my lucky star every day that I run into cool role players who actually want to play games with me. And these are 4 of them. So let's go quick to introductions. A little preface for Steve. Steve I met back in the day when there was such a thing as Google Plus, and we were both on the Google Plus Cortex Plus board. And this is where I made a bunch of hacks for Google for Cortex Plus. I did like a Vampire Diaries. I did a Dune. I did another one that escapes me for the moment. And Steve said, "Dune? Are you actually going to play it?" And I said, "Yes." And I invited him, and we ended up playing with him and a couple friends of mine, and this guy we never met before. We met on Roll20 from Mexico, who was awesome. We played a Dune game for a whole year. And ever since, I don't know. I think he's a masochist, but he keeps playing games with me, and he's back for more here. So Steve, good to see you.
Thank you. And you
I've been a few words. I put it all out there. I took all of his thunder. So then we have Danielle over here. Danielle is an individual that I met when I put out feelers for the beta test for this game. And I needed players to get through a session. And she, amongst others, leapt at it. I had like 2 whole groups. I had to do like, what I do? I did 2 sessions every Saturday for like 3-4 weeks. That's a lot. That's a lot of role playing. Don't do it. If you can avoid it. So anyway, so Danielle stuck around. She played a game in my, I do every November, I do an Extra Life 24-hour game-a-thon, and she was part of that. And so, I invited her to continue playing, and she's been waiting for this game. She's stuck with me this long just so that she could get in on this campaign, and gosh darn it, there she is. Thank you, Danielle.
Here I am. You're welcome. I'm very excited. I have been hoping and wishing for a good Dune RPG for a while now as well. So it's one of my all-time favorite properties and one of my all-time favorite books.
Yeah, this is your monologue time too, by the way. You're allowed to do the thing. This is
I don't have a full monologue, but I read it for the first time in middle school and fell in love with it then. And I am that person who also owns all of the Brian Herbert and Kevin Anderson books as well. So I am all in on the Duneverse. Very excited to be here.
Very cool. Very cool. I do want to point out that I am anti Brian Herbert books. I think they're badly written fan fiction. That's my personal opinion. If you love them, if anyone loves them out there, keep loving them. It's my personal opinion. I just and to be honest, I think the very best book in the whole series was Dune. So I've read the first Dune book, like more times than I care to admit to in front of even Dune geeks. So here we are.
I would strongly agree that Dune is the best book.
Excellent. And next we have Jonathan, who I have never gamed with, but here we go. I always put out the feelers. I put out the questionnaires. I'm not sure if Jonathan and Tinker know why I do that, but I do that for 2 reasons. 1, see if you'll fit in with the group, and 2, you're not crazy. Because guess what? Crazy gamers are out there. Yes. Some do get through the sieve, if you will. But there we are. So no, just kidding. But yes, so Jonathan and Tinker both went through the thing, and really impressed me with what they put out there. I'll kind of talk about them both at the same time here. Really impressed with what they put out there. Just very excited. Also Dune fans. Jonathan, tell us about your Dune infatuation.
So I think I read the Frank books when I was probably teenager. I think I read Dune the first time when I was maybe 13 or 14. I grew up with older brothers who lived through the Star Wars kind of the rise of that, and Lynch's Dune was another big part of that. The book was kind of passed down, the movie was passed down, and it was one of those like, hey, come watch this guy ride this worm, kind of
I will watch that. If you literally come into my place and say, Scott, watch this guy ride this worm, I will be out front with you.
Right?
Here to tell you.
Like, I think teenagers would be like at least somewhat interested to see what what that's going to be like. I love the first book. I think it's great. I think I like Children. I think I like Children a lot though. Like it's so good. Yeah, it's hard to pick a favorite. I have not really dove into the Brian and Kevin J stuff. So the extended kind of universe information is kind of outside of my scope. But yeah, I'm a big fan. I've been reading that stuff and playing RPGs for about the same amount of time. So about the last 20 plus years. So. Yeah,
you started role playing when you were 4 years old.
No, I'm 36 for the record. So
no, we don't want Jonathan stalkers. You give people as little information as possible.
I don't
want
care.
to be responsible for your stalkers, Jonathan.
I don't care. It's fine.
there's there's like aughts of Scott's Case Files groupies out there. Yeah. So I mean, just be careful. I'm telling you.
Okay.
It's a
Okay.
little insane out there.
I'll watch myself. This will become a dummy account.
Absolutely. Good job. Well, thank you, Jonathan. And last but absolutely not least, we have Tinker Gnome, who was the last individual to be brought into the campaign. And again, really impressed with what she had to put out there, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm just happy to have her aboard.
I'm definitely happy to be here.
Monologue, Tinker, you get your time. So.
I grew up on Dune because of my grandfather. He got me into the books when I was about middle school years. And when he passed away in 99, I inherited his books. And those are kind of one of my precious, things that I have left from him. But I am also one of the ones that enjoys the Brian and Kevin fan fiction universe of things. And I really like how they kind of still tie together with the main books, but still expand the universe, because it's one of those things where I'm always craving more knowledge about it and more information about it. And even though I can make up probably a lot of it myself, it's nice having something there that, I could just read and not have to spend as much energy on.
Yes. Spoiler alert, you're going to be making out some stuff about the universe.
Well, that's what I'm looking forward to. So. And then this is Morty. So.
Excellent. Morty the kitty and the sling. That's so cute. Kitties are always welcome on this stream. Every now and then I have a chair cat myself. But yeah, and again, I don't mean to... My intention is so far away from berating anyone who loves the Kevin Anderson and Brian Herbert books. It's just not my thing, and because of that, because of my, I have read several of them from cover to cover. I would like to put it out there as like a caveat that I don't know that universe, and we're not including that universe here unless it's really cool and we decided as a group that it's cool to bring in. But generally speaking, I want you guys to create your universe. We're going to create some new things. As you've already seen, I've done some world building. So we watched like a couple of world building streams. I've created some other houses minor. This is all in World Anvil, which I'm now using like for everything. So I'll be putting some links out to that. But without further ado, since we've talked so much about this, when we get to know everybody, we feel like friends now. Like strong acquaintances at the very least. People you won't run away from on the street or cross the other side if you see them coming. So we've made progress. Things are good. Excuse me. So let's.
I'd be tempted.
Oh, Steve. That's not even his real name. I know nothing about Steve except maybe that's his first name. I actually don't know. And that's okay. That's okay, because he is most protected from Scott's Case Files groupies. Congratulations, Steve. So, without further ado, let's talk about characters and stuff. So, first house. Kind of like as a note to any viewers out there, we have in order to make the intro video, which I'll show shortly, I had to at least get a house name and get a feel for the house, what they did. So we've already talked about house. It's House Gildrun, and I'm choosing to pronounce it with like a quick U, Gildrun, somewhere between a U and an I. It just flows for me. You may pronounce it any way you wish. We can always call it a local accent type of thing. Gildrun. Anyway, so House Gildrun, their primary domain is basically putting on high-end entertainment. It's kind of like I forget what the noted Balisette maker and player is that's mentioned in like the history of Dune, but was it? I thought someone piped up with the answer. Yeah, so like these, the big thing that they make their money off of this house is putting out entertainers out there. The second domain, the secondary domain, is secrets and favors, which one might earn as, being, invited to various houses, events, and in sanctums to entertain, etc., etc. One of the things I point out to the players, but I also want to kind of repeat for any viewers, is that I don't care what a house does. If it's a house minor, house major, great house, I don't care if if their main product is bananas and their secondary product is origami skills. If they're a house, they have a standing army, they have spies, they have assassins, and they kill people on a somewhat regular basis. Okay, it's the primary and secondary domains is basically how they make their money. In the rule, the core book here, House Atreides is their primary domain is Pundi rice. They're freaking farmers. Secondarily is, yes, they do have like a military thing going on there, but yeah, we know them for everything but Pundi rice, right? So we're going to be going for this. So basically, the characters are starting out kind of like the lower levels of the organization, working their way up. Still, the way 2D20 makes things is that people are still very competent right from the get-go, and that's how they want them to be. They want things to be competent, getting into the action type of characters, and everything above that is just refinement. So that's pretty cool. So we've created that. We even have a symbol, which is the smiley frowny face masks that Brian did for us, which I have to get in here somewhere yet. So we have that. So if we go through the house creation, that's almost done. Just because I had to kind of put a world in there for here, so I made it Orbos. Is the name of the planet that this house miner belongs to or comes from. It's an actual planet as opposed to a partial planet, part of a planet like other house miners, or a moon like yet other house miners. But I'm saying it's because it's kind of outside the space routes. That's how it kind of gets down to that type of control level. So we have that. So the last thing really is a trait, basically house traits. And then also we have to pick an enemy. And spoiler alert for the players, I haven't told them this yet. This is the first they know about it. I've already chosen your enemy house. It's just a matter, you get to choose what the level of hatred is. And second spoiler, I chose one of your not used ideas, which was the Canley house that produces poisons. Should have gone with that, right? Now you're kind of double thinking, like,
Say that's an inconvenient enemy.
So
yeah, I'm not like that.
Well, I know what some of my assets are going to be now.
They just make poisons. They don't necessarily use them all the time. Yes, they do. They totally do.
I'm feeling really good about my choice to play Benny Gesserit.
So yes, so there is that. So we have a couple things to figure out yet, and we can be finished with house creation, basically. And in addition, I kind of want to talk to you about the house leadership. What does that look like? Is it who's that person, and that kind of thing. I don't want to get too deep into that for this. I do want to make kind of like your characters the main, main part of this thing, this episode 0. But let's look at house traits. Let's see here. So each house begins with a trait for any primary domains it has. This trait is the same as the area of expertise for that domain. So basically, we need to think of like a descriptive word that brings to you as players in this house, brings to mind as relates to the primary domain, which is the the entertainment thing, the high level entertainment individuals. So yeah, let's talk it out. What are your additional thoughts? Like, I'm going to point at somebody, Tinker Gnome. What is the word that comes to mind? This is just brainstorming. No pressure.
About the house?
Yeah, that's the trait. No pressure.
Damn you and your pressure.
Steve, trait of a house.
Elegant.
Elegant, nice. Let's come back to Tinker.
Carney.
She thought she was off the hook.
See, I was going the other way with it when I was thinking about it.
Sure. Well, what you got? Let's see. I want to hear it. We all want to hear it.
Well, like I was thinking, like we're pretty much kind of like the rabble, but we're still, wanted in higher courts for entertainment, sort of thing. I don't know. I was kind of looking at it from like these are the people that nobody really notices, but they have a good stage presence, and excuse me. Yeah, that's kind of where I was kind of thinking from on it.
Okay, well, that's cool. We can build on that. But yeah, so the trait is something, if you basically, as a character, if you spend a momentum, you can then use that trait as in the game, basically. Let's see here. If player spends one momentum, they may apply one of the house traits to their character for the remainder of a scene. So yeah, and a trait, if you've checked out the core book, is important in doing things. It can make a trait can make something possible, impossible, easier, or harder. So let's just run with Steve's elegant for the moment, but that's not our choice yet. That's not in stone. But there's a point where Danielle's Bene Gesserit is getting into an argument with someone, and she wants to take the low road, but not quite come off as taking the low road. Maybe she spends some momentum, gets elegant, and gets to get her point through and use that trait. And the trait of the house comes through for her. So think of something that's not only representative of the house but useful to you in various situations. How about Jonathan? You've been silent so far.
So I like elegant. I like artistic. Maybe something that is like popular but not popular, sought after, in demand. Something like that. We might be rabble. We might be, they might turn their noses at our profession, but there's still a Gildrun entertainer at every soiree or whatever,
That's worth anything. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. If it's a good one.
If it's a good one. If it's a crappy one, then it doesn't. And they should have spent more cash, basically. Cool. All right. Yeah. So elegant, sought after. These are good. These are good traits. And I see what kind of Tinker was getting at, but we need to kind of put it into a word or two, that type of thing. Danielle, how about you?
I don't know. I'm really stuck on elegant because I really like that. But yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with where Jonathan was going with this idea of a desirable or sought after presence. Like, you can't. Your party isn't complete unless you have a Gildrun entertainer, right? Something to capture that sentiment. But I'm really struggling to pick one word.
Essential,
maybe sought after is worthy. It's like, and also here's what I want you to think about. Also, when let's say you guys stay with me for seasons and seasons and seasons and years in campaign pass, and eventually you're running the house. Is sought after going to be something you feel that's useful to you at that time? Can you use that as a spy master or I suppose you can. Okay, I'm hurting my own argument here, but so think to the future, think to now. Sought after is I can see it is good. Like, oh yeah, we can definitely smuggle some intelligence assets in there that were sought after. That makes it easier to get them in there. We're elegant, so we can, we're definitely, if we're competing for a contract for a soiree for one of the emperor's daughter's birthday soirees, well, we're elegant and they're just artistic. They're just whatever, that kind of thing. So think of the word that helps you. Let's come back to Tinker. I know you've been thinking. I know you've been trying to get it out there. And I keep stopping you. I'm not going to keep it out. Oh my God. She's going to talk. What? Oh, she's flipping out. Okay, let's go for that.
I was going to say it's like the equivalent of like wanting a movie star at a party, or these are your means of entertainment, acrobats and juggling or whatever. Like you really want these sort of people at your party to entertain. Gildrun or nothing, sort of situation, I would think.
That's literally the motto of the house: Gildrun or nothing. So good job. So yeah, I mean,
in demand,
okay.
Essential.
Yeah.
Renowned.
Not a party unless Gildrun is there.
All right. So are we falling on one that you can see being useful to you and also represent the house? Again, all these I like all of them actually. The elegant, the sought after, essential. But you can
I
only
really
have
liked
one for now.
Danielle's renowned. I thought was good.
That kind of captures the idea of us being famous for what we do and kind of the top of the line, so to speak.
Nice.
So another one in that vein is coveted. Just looking at the thesaurus, thing.
Good one.
That's a good one.
Although I like renowned just because it implies that we're just like so well known.
Which makes sense for a house full of entertainers, right? I mean,
cool. So how about, I think we're landing on renowned. That seems to be kind of like the coming together here, yes?
I like
Sure.
that.
All right. Your trait
like it.
is renowned. And I can see that being useful at all levels of operation within this game for you. So that's pretty cool. So before we get into the enemy thing, let's do the intro movie because, as usual, I forget to do it. So I'm just going to remember now and do it. So let's do it. Let's do the thing. And then when we come back, we'll talk about your enemy, the Canley House. Oh, should have gone with that, huh? That's all right.
A secret report from within the Spacing Guild. A prescient nexus has been discovered surrounding a house minor. There are so many possibilities that we have no vision. A fourth-stage navigator was sent to Orbot to investigate. It is a house of entertainers, actors, dancers, and yet they also trade in secrets and favors. All prescient roads lead to one place for this house minor. Arrakis, home of the Spice Melange. The observation of House Gildrun continues.
Okay, we're back. Cool. All right. So I got that done. I didn't forget it this time. Very important in session 0. So, okay. So let's talk about your enemies. Your enemy in this case. You're a house miner, so you have to have an enemy. Everybody has enemies. The more powerful a house you are, the more powerful and varied your enemies are. So yeah, your enemies are the Canley House that produces poison. And otherwise, the secondary domain, just for your knowledge, is basically the actual thing that they harvested, of which the poison is a derivative.
So they're not one of the ones that are defined on the World Anvil yet, right?
That is correct. I have not put it there yet. But I have created some others, so feel free to, if you can see it on World Anvil as a player, that's in character, common knowledge, please use it. Feel free. And then I will be putting your enemies there. I haven't thought of a name yet. I'll figure that out. Yeah, so you have a hatred level. So just for kicks, who wants to be the one that rolls the d20 that decides how much you hate each other? Who wants to do that? Oh goodness.
Oh, it's random. I'll roll. I don't care.
All right. Excellent.
We're just a rival.
Rival. Excellent. Cool. I just want to fix something real quick. Let's see. There we go. That's perfect. Sorry, it's lining up another thing that I didn't set up beforehand. Cool. Awesome. Yeah, basically just have your little bottom picture there when we go to the Roll20 screen. So cool. All right, so you are just disliked, you said?
Rival.
Oh, rival. I'm sorry. So, okay, the rival, the house actively seeking to bring the player character's house down. They whisper about them at court and spread lies and gossip, or maybe it's truth, where they can. They avoid open conflict unless they see an opportunity to make a gain for themselves. So, yes, this Canley house, you pissed them off. We'll have to talk about that. I don't want to cover it right now, but let's talk about it in Discord during the week and find out why that is. And I'll update World Anvil on that for viewers, and that way you can share that also. So yeah, and we're gonna be using World Anvil a lot. I'll be putting out links to that and all sorts of stuff. But
For clarification on direction, or or they pissed us off, and we're the ones trying to get back at them.
Yeah. No one F's with Gildrun, man. Nobody. You screw with one acrobat, you screw with them all. Basically.
That's at the orgy, though.
That is at one point, there's a pre, during, after party. Yes, the after party. So yes, there is that. Excellent. All right. So next part is, let's take a look at characters. So I again, kind of in preparation for this, I don't want you to go in blind, but I did want something to happen on, session 0. So let's hear, I'm kind of curious. Let's hear your initial thoughts on your character. I know the one that was kind of solid that Danielle had always shown a want for the Bene Gesserit spot. So I made sure that she had that. And she had dibs way back in the day. And one of my things is, as I've told the players, I don't want to do anything where we have like a bunch of people from more than one person of the same faction in a given group if we can avoid it. Now, in future seasons, as people come and go, that rule may shift. But for now, I don't want all 4 Bene Gesserit, because who does?
You mean you don't want a GM for 4 people that can have prescient knowledge about a situation
and use the voice on it? It just gets cray. So yes, there is that. So yes, so the one Bene Gesserit in this group is Danielle. Danielle, let's hear about her. And do you have a name? I'll start popping your names in.
I do have a name. So her name is Anaya, Inaya. And yeah, so Anaya is just a Bene Gesserit sister. And what I had put forward to the group, and I think no one seemed to have any objections, is the idea that House Gildrun had a little bit of a tiff in the past with the Bene Gesserit. There's a little bit of political overlap in the giving and taking of knowledge in favors. And Anaya is essentially the Bene Gesserit's peace offering to House Gildrun. So they have offered her up and said, here, take this one. She has, somewhat decent truth sense. She's a good dancer, so she'll fit well in your house. And, she can be a benefit to you. And we hope this, brings relationships back to a warmer place between the sisterhood and House Gildrun. And so Anaya herself sees this as her opportunity to make a name for herself within the sisterhood. She's hoping if she does well here, that it will lead to her being able to take the test to become a Reverend Mother. And she has sort of idolized Reverend Mother Mahayam, who's currently the Emperor's truthsayer, basically looking at her and seeing everything that she herself wants to be. And so she has a lot of long-term goals related to power. I did, in fact, put power as her highest drive. But she's kind of couching that behind, the immediate fix is doing a good job here and making sure that House Gildrun is happy, because if House Gildrun is happy, then the Sisterhood will be happy too. And she can progress forward.
And I exist to serve, as you're fond of saying.
Yes.
Excellent. I like the whole concept. I think it's cool. It not only we not only learn something about your character, but we already know part of her goal in life is to do well for House Gildrun, because, just betraying the house again, that takes the Bene Gesserit out of that whole picture where they want to be in, apparently, or they wouldn't be making this effort. So already we know kind of something about Anaya. The house knows something about Anaya, and that's a good start. So that's pretty cool. Cool. Let's see here. Ticker. Have you thought about your character? What your kind of basic character idea is?
I think I decided to still go ahead and go into the Mentat thing instead of like a failed Mentat. She is more of a scholar type of Mentat where, like I said before, she's a bit of Space Sophie from Leverage, kind of like Sophie is there. But instead of calculations, she remembers songs and plays and books, things that she wants to learn how to be on stage. And but she is still very new to it. She's from a minor house. She went to Mentat school. They wanted her. She's the only heir of her house, but because she actually wants to go be part of Gildrun instead of go back and take care of her house, her planet. She's a bit disowned. So Gildrun decided that she would be useful as a, from another house, knowing how to be kind of like a bit of the courtier type of archetype, but I don't know, she's easier to get in and out of places, and people may not recognize her as being part of the house, but she can kind of learn to be a bit of a spy or something around that range.
Okay. Yeah, it's cool. So as we kind of discussed on Discord now, in order to use actual Mentat talents, you have to be a Mentat. So my question to you to follow up is she a Mentat?
She is a Mentat. She's not a failed Mentat, but she is a Mentat. So,
gotcha.
Otherwise, she wouldn't remember all that stuff.
Gotcha. Okay, I just want to kind of get at that important point. But yeah, I mean, yeah, she's basically it sounds like not so much she failed, she succeeded, but she wasn't interested in going to the higher levels, perhaps at this time, as the Mentat school would have wanted her to. Does she have a name, or do they have a name?
It's Reza Tavik.
Can you spell that for me?
REZATAVAK.
Okay. Mentat. Excellent. Perfect. And actually, I'm going to put stuff real quick. Give me 1 second. I'm sorry. And pronouns on Reza.
She.
She, her. Okay. Excellent. And Anaya is definitely she, her, yes? Okay. I say that only because Bene Gesserit, they kind of demand it. All right. Awesome. All right. Let's see. How about Jonathan? What's your character or general idea?
So the basic premise that I was kind of going with was I love the idea of playing a swordsman, of playing a duelist kind of character, but they're I don't want to say past their prime, but they're a veteran. They've got some years on them.
Ooh, I feel attacked
and
right now, Jonathan.
it's as much me. I like that idea of like, what does a warrior do after, you've proven yourself in battle to your house, but now, your house kind of wants to, you want to keep this person alive, not necessarily because of their prowess, but because of their knowledge, their expertise, the way they see a battlefield, the way they can maneuver other troops through a battlefield.
Oh, sure.
So that's kind of what I was thinking, is sort of a strategist kind of archetype is what I'm looking at. Someone who was maybe a Ginaz swordsman, so has that sort of, I don't want to say like legendary, like one of the things I was saying was like Duncan Idaho without the charm. Not necessarily, not necessarily a prodigy, but a competent swordsman and warrior. But I think what makes them sort of follow this path is, I like the idea of them maybe being a relative, like maybe maybe like a second degree relative, like a uncle or nephew or something of someone in the house leadership, maybe like not an heir, but a relative that you want to keep close. And so had a propensity and a showed talent at this, and so they could would want to serve the house. Probably duty is the main drive, because they're family, they're tied to the house. They want to see it protected.
Don't you get ahead of me, Jonathan. Don't you do it. Don't you do it. So, okay, what's this person's name?
This is Jindo. Jindo.
Any last name?
I don't have one yet.
That is okay. Should we call you a strategist if I had to put a title for you?
Yeah.
Strategist, swordsman,
veteran swordsman, strategist. Yeah. That works. Yes.
All right. Let's go strategist.
This or that.
For starter. This is again. This part says strategist. Okay.
Yeah, I mean that's a good point. Danielle brought up it could be just Gildrun if I'm related to an actual family, the actual family of the house. So that's a potential idea. That's a good idea. Yeah.
Cool. Let me just update this real quick. Let's see here. Okay. Excellent. All right, we're filling stuff out already. I hope you guys feel as accomplished as I do right now, because that's pretty cool. So, last but not least, the undecided, the unknown, not unknowing. He's unknown, an unknown variable in this entire equation. Nobody knows. Oop, you're muted, buddy. You are muted.
I was going to say you were close on the first. I am a little undecided, but
work with me, Steve.
I'm working with you. So I want to do something that was akin to a warrior monk.
Ooh.
I don't want to go full, Oriental fetishist, even though I grew up with, all the martial arts films.
Ninjas. Hello.
So many ninjas, so many, Shaolin warriors and, whatnot. But, at the same time, I'm also, I also loved Chur, whatever his name was in Rogue One. Not Rogue One.
I know.
Sure,
we know what you're
yeah. That one. So I want to do something in that vein, and I'm just trying to determine, whether I go more of an infiltration route, as an infiltrator, focusing on, more of the movement and that kind of skill, or whether I go a little bit more protector, which I think may conceptually fit more with I guess how I envision, the Dune universe, which is a little more serious. My infiltrator concept was a little bit more, shall we say, not lighthearted, but definitely not as serious as as the Dune universe seems to require.
Okay.
I mean, despite the fact
what
we're,
works for you?
actors and we're running around with troops of basically everything but comedians. It's
Depends on how you look at it.
still serious business.
Absolutely. Well, do you have a name for this individual? Let me give you a name at least.
Let's go with Castian.
What is it? How do you spell that?
Castien.
Excellent. Last name at all, or no?
Random name generator. No last name yet.
All right. Pronouns.
He, him.
Yeah. Excellent. And we'll put you as. I won't put a note at you yet, but we'll figure it out. Cool. All right. Well, hopefully, maybe the process of character generation may just help you out. So let's do this. Let's go to Roll20. Let's see. All right, cool. All right, so let's do this. I'm going to bring up a character sheet. I think I think I have to create character sheets for you all yet. But let's see here. We have
already. Oh, in Roll20.
Yeah, in Roll20. Let's see here.
I've got one in there. You made one for me earlier.
Okay, cool. All right, so let's do. Let's see. So I do see Jindo. Let's see. This is Riz, and I give everyone access to everybody else just to see things. There's really no secrets here. With the exception of Bedlam Hall, I generally do pretty much on the table type of game. There's no ninja notes, no nothing like that. There's no need for there to be. In fact, it's more fun if we can, keep things out of character wise and just do the thing. All right, Anaya made your sheet. I can't look at both at the same time, so let's see. Tinker, what was the name of your character again?
Reza, Reza.
Reza. Cool. Alrighty. All right, and who am I missing? Steve's character. Can you spell that name again for me, Steve?
Castien. Castien.
Excellent. You cut out there for a second. You're good. Alrighty. All right, you should all now have character sheets. So let's, just for the sake of kind of doing the thing, I'm actually going to open Castian's, and let's kind of look at things. Now, one thing I want to point out that I've kind of found out, kind of just toying with this, is that the dice roller is great, except it doesn't really tally. It doesn't take into consideration crits, even though it knows what a crit is, a critical success. It doesn't show it in the number of successes. Okay. So that's kind of what we have to live with. I think I'll put where we actually see like 3D dice roll on the table. I've never actually done that before, but let's try that. And that might make things easier. But basically you can mouse over the roll and it'll tell you exactly, what the dice rolled also. So just as a note, I am not good at HTML or CSS. I totally got this sheet from other people who are making it, who are gracious enough to do so. So we'll make do with this and thank them for all their efforts. But yeah, just as a heads up that the rolls will just need to pay attention to what the roll actually is to make sure crits are counted. So let's create a character, shall we? Let's see. I figured we do the planned creation. That's just kind of my thing, as opposed to creation in play. kind of follow that. That way you get to get exactly what you're looking for and that kind of goodness. So I'm just going to kind of break out sheets here. All right. So let's start with the name. So we have the name, pop your player, your name out there just so we know who's who. Faction is House Gildrun. Or actually House is House Gildrun. I'm not. Faction is if you're like a Bene Gesserit, a Mentat, a Guildman, a Fremen, etc. Those are the factions. So fill that out as you like. And pop in your role also if you happen to know that already. I'm looking at everybody but Steve. But that's okay.
I think I'll go Protector.
Cool. That sounds awesome. Cool. And as a note, the background for Roll20 is kind of bleak at the moment. I have basically some stuff to make it look pretty. I'm going to be put on like I forget what the term Roll20 uses, but like some multiple sided token where basically I'm going to make the momentum and threat appear on here basically. So I just had so much going on this week. I did not do that. So that's one of my goals for next week when we have our actual session 1. But yeah, for now, we just got the basics, looks pretty. And there we go. All right.
So do we have a role that we're like attached to in terms of the house?
That's a good question. I mean,
You said we're sort of starting a little bit more on the kind of the ground floor.
Yeah, not so much. I don't want to say like the ground floor. You are
Right.
you're not the
We are the Spy Master.
Yeah, exactly. You're not the ground floor. You're definitely not the highest level yet. But again, you have something to prove to the house. So yeah, let's talk about that. I mean, like for you, a protector, the role of bodyguard. You're going to be, this is a well-known house. There's going to be stars of the show, and they need bodyguards. So that's something, for example, yours might do. In addition to being a protector of the people in the group, that kind of thing. So yeah, that brings a good question. Like, what do you want your role within like the house right now to be? Like, again, you're not the.
Security.
What's that?
I think I'll probably list it as security.
Sure.
That would like be like the HR department.
Funny. So like, so how about Jindo? Like, what do you see your characters doing with like, basically you'll be traveling around probably with the groups of entertainers and, maybe not necessarily being an entertainer yourself, but what do you see Jindo doing for the troupe as they travel?
I think probably some sort of advisory role makes sense. I think Swordmaster or Warmaster would make sense on like for a goal for him. Like he would eventually probably make a good general and would like to be sort of the House Warmaster. But
at this
to give
time,
him,
what would you?
Yeah.
That comes later in character creation. We will cover that. But
right, that's the role from
right
like
now?
the house role. So like that's some of the house roles that are listed in the book are like, the things we're talking about. I think as far as like what I would do for the group, it would probably be like scouting and advising, less of a bodyguard or security and more of just threat assessment, something a little more tactical and forward and proactive.
Sure. So how about let's just put advisor right there for right now. That's a great one.
Do you perform too? Do you do showy dueling?
I think so. Like I think that's something I had really explored, and I like the idea of those kind of scenes where it's a birthday party, right? But hey, here's our pet duelist. Hey, go entertain the powers that be with a showy duel. And there's all sorts of, fun things in those kind of scenes. So yeah, I like the idea that he might get called on to Okay, I'm the token swordsman. Let's do this.
Yeah.
Like, he grudgingly does the hobnobbing,
Sure. Cool. All right. Well, let's put him as advisor for the moment. Then that's these are things that are going to change as this group here develops. So this is not where you're stuck at. So keep that in mind. All right. Let's go to Reza.
I was kind of looking at her. She's kind of a bit of an ingenue. Like, she's new to the acting and performing, and she's actually not very good at it, but she knows all the words to everything. But when she's not on stage, then she goes into kind of like a grifter mode, where she can learn things about whatever house they're in, and keep that data up in here for future blackmail or whatever we need to do to get somebody to listen to us or hurt somebody or whatever, fighting the Camley, the house or whatever.
Right. So you are the hobnobber.
Yes. Yeah.
So
like I'm yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. How about, like, can we put you as courtier? That seems like, you're
Yeah.
you're the one who hobnobs with the important people. You're
Well,
the
it's
one
like
who
I'm
knows all that kind of stuff.
I'm trying to figure out if she needs to be courtier or if she needs to be scholar or if she needs to be spy. Those are the three I'm kind of keep playing with between for her.
And what we choose as your role is, again, this is totally malleable. We could say, for example, let's say we write down on your character sheet courtier today. As your character develops, you decide, oh, well, wow, I'm really make a better spy, and I'm doing spy stuff anyway, so let's just call it. And that's literally just, it costs you nothing. Hey, Scott, I think I'm more of a spy person now. Okay, you're a spy. Write that down as your role. And that's cool. But let's start somewhere. So how about we start off as courtier, that hobnobber, and maybe we'll see as I put you in those scenes, as I put your feet to the fire, where you land. So I'm going to help you develop your character, whether you like it or not.
Yay.
Yay. So yeah, I mean, and through play, we're going to figure out where we all stand. I mean, again, Jindo could totally get off on I'm a performer now. I do all those scenes. Awesome. Nobody could. Oh my God. You see the guy up there right now doing the duel. Oh my God. He dropped his elbow. Are you freaking kidding me?
Dad, I just want to sing. Why won't you just let me sing?
Yeah, exactly. So yes, so Jindo might be, it turned out he's like a performer who does other stuff. And that's his thing right now. And then as we move on, he becomes like, some kind of house strategist or negotiator. Again, this is all, let's just all put a word there to get you started. Where you go from there is easy to change, and we'll figure it out as a group too. So let's pop if that works for you, Reza. Let's put, and I'm going to tend to call you by your character name as we get into play. So please answer to it. I'm not talking about anybody else. So Reza, let's put down courtier for you if that works. We'll start there and see we'll see what it changes to, and or maybe you really turns out you love it. So we'll find that out. And we'll find that out as a group, and that's really cool. That's role playing. That is why we're here. All right. How about Anaya? What's Anaya's role? What does Anaya see as her thing?
So Anaya's a dancer. Which I love the concept of so much, is that all that good, sweet prana bindu conditioning being channeled into being the most exquisite dancer, all that grace and control. But when she's not dancing, I think she is kind of similar to Reza, is kind of a socialite, and out mingling with the guests, and there to. I'm coming at her from more of a, not so much like the spy angle, but more of the almost like a the very all-encompassing idea of a courtesan, like not so much the sex work part, but like the part of like being an excellent party companion or an excellent companion in society. Right. So So she's like, she will be someone's date for the evening. She'll based on, whoever we want to flatter tonight, or whoever's like paying the bankroll or things like that. And she'll go be on their arm for the evening and, absorb what she can from that, or that can be brought back for the secondary trade.
Yeah. Geisha.
Yeah, almost like a geisha.
Yeah, very much known as, also the performance was as important as the looks and charm of the geisha, and I would argue that the courtesan was the same. One of the things I love about the idea of, this is just me talking, as like the historical idea of the courtesan was, these were, they were in part sex workers, but they were some of the most educated women of their day, because women weren't allowed to get educations, and guess what? You're hanging out with people who have all the freaking books. The rich people who can afford you have all the books. You're learning things. You're hearing things. You're a junior spy master. You know stuff. People talk when they're relaxed.
When you're and part of the value is in like the conversation that you can bring, right? That the conversation should be entertaining and diverting and things like that. So,
sure.
Yeah, I see a lot of those qualities in
sure
in her. So I put dancer and socialite.
Sure, those work. And we can develop that, and like, or we could call her like the diva. She is like one of the stars of the show, and that's why people want to be with her, want her company. You want to hang out with people who are admired by others, and et cetera, et cetera. So again, this is all malleable. That sounds like a good role.
As much for the performance as for the company.
Very well. Excellent. Cool. All right, so we have roles. We have ideas for roles. Let's see what else we have. So let's see. Let's look at the actual thing here. So first of all, now that we're past the fill in the blank stuff, there's more fill in the blank stuff. But it's cool. So let's see. So a character has two traits which are essential descriptions of the character. And like the house trait, these are traits that you want to choose to be useful to you in some fashion. Characters' first trait is normally their title, status, or role in society. A character's place in society shapes how they move through society, how they're viewed, etc., etc. So, yeah, I mean, kind of think about that. We can, use your archetype or your role as your first trait. Let's see here. And of course, anyone who has a faction gets the extra, Bene Gesserit or Mentat, as the case may be here. But yeah, so the character's second trait is more personal. It basically talks about like your reputation, who you are, what you really do, that kind of thing. So let's talk about that. So again, does anyone have like their second trait? Again, the first trait, just pop it down. Again, some things to think about are, is it useful? I don't want you to, one of the worst things in any game is to, basically choose this stat or thing or skill, and it just never gets used because you chose poorly, or your original choice veered away from like what you end up wanting to do, etc. And things are changeable in this game too, so kind of keep that in mind. But yeah, so like the first one is like what you do. So again, like duelist maybe for Jindo, entertainer for Anaya, Reza, yeah, courtier, socialite, Castian. That's his trait. It's Castian. But yeah, you get the general idea. So again, the trait that is how like your role in society, the Faufrelich is almost, a role for every man and every man in his place, a place for every man and every man in his place. So kind of think about that. And the second one again is like, who are you? It's more personal. It's your reputation. It's what you're known for. It's the thing you like to project to people, whether it's true or not. And again, this trait should be something that you think you will find useful in your character's time. A trait, again, can make something impossible, possible, easier to do or harder to do. And so, yeah. kind of think about that. And this also, that second trait kind of gives you the ability to, better define, who you are. You, like, again, two mentats, if we were silly enough to have two mentats in the same group, this is one of the places you would differentiate from the other, is this trait. Yeah, you're both mentats. That's your first trait, or second, as the case may be, because it's a faction. But your other one, one is, party animal, or the one's the carouser, one's the studious, and both you can see how those can be really helpful in different situations, and that really does help define who they are and how they tend to do things. Path of least resistance, do what you're best at, type of thing. So keep that in mind. Let's see. I'm just going to go through things just to kind of keep the ball rolling. And I think several of you made like skills, figure out your skills and stuff already. But let's see what else we have here. Let's see. All right, so skills. Let's go over basic skills again. One thing I won't be doing is showing any portion of the book outside of what they provide. Like one of the things we'll see in Roll20 is my intention is to basically, put like the duelist, what's the word I'm looking for? Conflict thing, where it basically shows the guards and the personal space. That's kind of what they want you to use anyway. So I'm probably going to either take it or make my version of it so we can put it on Roll20 and we can use it there easily and kind of let you guys visualize it better, that kind of thing. But generally, I'm not going to put like any part of the actual book straight into like viewable space on Roll20. The skill snippets are fine with me. Like if you like when you put in your skills or whatever, there's a part where you can like do like or talents rather. There's a part where you can put in a little snippet for it, and that's fine. Go ahead and do that when we get there. That makes it easier for us to like see what those things do without having to look up in crap in books, because we don't want to be looking up crap in books all day. So yeah, let's talk about skills since we're here. So we have battle. Battle is battle. So knowledge of skill in arms, awareness of danger, understanding of tactics and strategies, knowledge of the tools, techniques, and history of combat. So all that goes into hurting others, putting the pointy part in another person's body, that's all battle. Communicate. This is the nice kind of communicate, which will differentiate with the next one, discipline. But communicate is persuasion. It's getting points across. It's, putting innuendo out there, I believe, also. That kind of thing. Subtext is another word they use. So, yeah, how will you communicate? How you can persuade people to do what you want them to do in a nice way. Make it think it's their idea. I think this is also, in part, like a cult of personality type of skill. That kind of thing. After that, we have discipline. So this is to influence and control their own body, as well as their ability to exert influence over others through presence, force of will, and power of authority. So this is, I am the Duke and you will do what I say, is discipline, not communicate. You're trying to use your force of will or you're trying to intimidate somebody. So intimidation is discipline, persuasion type stuff, communicate. Then we have move. So character's mobility, obviously, ability to maneuver, and ability to overcome obstacles. And I believe this is also kind of like the stat you use for different things like that aren't covered, like instruments, I think. Let's see here. Let me see if I'm correct with that. Maneuver situation, stealth. This is also a stealth thing, so keep that in mind. Yeah. Exerting physical force in ways other than fighting, so lifting heavy objects is a move. All right, understand, ability to take in and process information and knowledge, very important. And actually, I'm going to bring up Roll20 so everybody can see what I'm kind of talking about as I'm going through it. Let's see, so where are we? Oh, yeah, here we are. Okay. Let's see, move that up slightly. Cool. All right, so understand, character ability to take in process knowledge, logical deduction, etc., etc. And there we go. So for this, let's see, what do we get to do? So it's ready between 4 and 8, and let's see here where it tells us how many we can put into each. Let's see here.
I know it if you want it.
Oh, sure.
So your primary starts at 6, your secondary starts at 5, and then you have 5 points to allocate with a maximum of 8.
There you go. So no pressure. What pressure? Let's see here. So let's see if I can find that in the book too. Once you guys get that done, we'll move on to focuses, which are pretty cool. Again, another way to differentiate yourself from anyone else to make you not cookie cutter. So pretty cool. All right. Let me know when you're all feeling comfortable enough to kind of move to the next. We can always do that.
I'm sorry, I'm a little confused on what we're doing exactly at the moment.
Oh, sure. So we're right now at the moment we're divvying up skills. So battle, communicate, discipline, move, understand.
Okay. Which sheet do I need to be doing this on? Both World Anvil and Roll20, or just?
Yeah. Eventually, yes. For now, let's work on Roll20 just because that's what people can see here as we are actually in the stream.
Okay.
And then eventually, move it over to the other part there. Okay. Yeah, yes. Primary at 6, secondary at 5. Other 3 skills. Let's see. The other 3 skills are rated at 4 with 5 to divide amongst them, maximum of 8.
It's worth noting that your primary and your secondary come from your archetype. So whatever archetype you land on determines your primary and your secondary skills.
Yeah, or you can do it vice versa, I suppose. But so that's actually, let's look at that. Let's go to archetypes. Excuse me for being a little out of whack here, but okay. So if you're not sure where to go, let's choose an archetype, as Danielle is saying. If you're playing along in the book, we're looking on page 113. So like archetypes at a glance. And that'll kind of give you an idea of what you're looking to do here.
Okay, so I'm looking at Courtier on the next page over with the info there.
Gotcha. Yeah, communicate, understand being your primary and secondary. And again, these are archetypes, so they are very malleable. If you don't like the primary or secondary, switch them. Again, this is just, the archetypes are really just more to get you thinking about what you want to be doing.
Yeah, and I like how each category, is based on the skill, and they try out all the different combinations and just come up with a roll. That's
exactly.
Nice display of choosing, as opposed to these are the combat ones and these are the these are the social ones.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
social in each of them.
Yeah, good point. Very good point.
Good design on their part.
Yeah. All right. Cool. So does anybody need a helping hand? Can I help out at all?
I decided to not go balanced.
What's that?
I decided to not go balanced, which was, the original concept I was going with, statistically.
Okay. All right.
I've got mine sorted.
Excellent. Tinker, how about you?
Can you take a look at mine?
Oh, absolutely. Let's do that. Let's look together. That's part of the reason we're doing this. All right. Let's see here. Where's Oh, cool. Great picture. All right. All right. Okay, cool. All right. So did you pick a archetype, or are you kind of working off primary, secondary, etc.?
Archetype, we went with courtier, so that's what I
Okay.
put in for the
Oh.
skills.
Okay. And are the skills, do they work for you? Again, this archetypes are just, handy starting points. They're not meant to be, chiseled in stone or anything.
I think so.
Cool. All right.
I mean,
okay, so
like I said, I'm not like I don't need the musical instrument, but
I get you.
Yeah, you could change that.
I was wanting to put disguise in there somewhere as possibly for
So focus.
some of it, but I don't know if that will. Yeah, for like a focus on like maybe battle or something. I don't know.
Ooh, interesting. Like camouflage type of thing. That's interesting. Cool. Well, we'll get to focuses next if you're not quite sure how that's all working out. Let's see here.
Yeah, so it looks like you still have 5 points to allocate.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's what I was trying to figure out. If I had more points, I needed to move around.
Yeah,
Yep.
you have,
Yes.
none of those, are lower than you have listed, but you have 5 points to increase them with a maximum value of 8.
Just a question I was thinking of. Is disguise something you're wanting to use like specifically in a battle scenario, or is that something like more you're thinking like you want to assume the role of somebody else to I don't know, take
Well,
their
part of coming to Gildrun is I'm wanting to learn to be like an actress because that's what I want to get into. And so that's why I'm trying to figure out if the disguise needs to be part of that or if that needs to go back into doing the spy thing I was thinking about.
I get you. So I think what Jinto is asking is like if you're putting it as a focus of battle, it can only be used when you're rolling your battle dice.
Okay, so that's
the
okay.
question is, so like if you are you using it like more disguise for, I suppose, like communicate? It's
Yeah, it could be.
Take a look.
It could also be discipline.
I was thinking
Yeah, I was
too.
thinking going discipline with it.
Just keep in mind, again, to use the focus, you have to be using the skill. So, for example, are you going to be using,
Right.
Are you going to be intimidating people, throwing around your political, social weight type of thing, that kind of thing? Are you trying to bully your way past people and be in disguise as someone more important or that they respect or have to obey or communicate? Like, is this like you want to be like charming people, charming and in disguise as someone else at the party so you blend in, or that kind of thing? So, and again, this
Kind
is
of
what we do
charming
tonight
people
is
at the party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think
that-
for their
And
example,
blending in.
if we're getting into focuses, for their examples, they use disguise as a communicate focus.
Sure, that works. So yeah, well, you can have two focuses for one thing. I mean, you generally will eventually. So feel free.
Which probably brings up focuses.
Yeah, there are a lot of
Yep.
good example focuses, like you were talking about with the disguise being in communicate. Like if you're kind of stuck for where something goes, like there's, it's not exhaustive, obviously, but there's a pretty good list of examples in the book.
Right. Okay, so yeah, since we're kind of naturally moving into focus here, so I'm assuming everybody has their skills done. And again, when you do an action, your basic the most basic roll you're going to make is the target number you're looking for is your skill plus your drive or drive statements. So those two together make a number. You have to get that number underneath to call that die roll a success. So your skills are very important, obviously. So let's see here. Okay, so focuses. You get to assign 4 focuses. At least one should be assigned to your primary skill, and that's really all the pardon me, the direction they really give you, it looks like.
Your skill has to be 6 or higher to have a focus.
Yes, 6 or higher. Sorry. Yeah, you don't want to have a focus on something that has 4, and therefore they don't let you. But yes, so yeah, 6 or higher. So you have 2 skills you can have, or 2 skills you can have focus in right now. Oop, oop, oop. Points are a changing. Where'd they go? Oh, yep, there you go. Understand. So yeah, communicate and understand are your 2 main ones right now. And let's numbers get bounced around a little bit.
So do those both become a focus, or because if one is 6 and the other one's okay?
Yeah. So okay. So you have 7 and 6. Did you add all the? So you have 7, 6, 5. I'm sorry to
2 more points, I think.
Yeah. Let's see.
What was it?
Let's see here. So you have 6, 5, and then rest are 4. So 6, so 1, 2. Yeah, you have 2 more points to add to your scores for skills. So you can boost another 5 up to a 6 if you wanted. And that gives you a little more well-rounded places to put focuses. Foci, if you will.
I recall everything adds up to 28 once you've spent the points.
That helps knowing that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Cool. All right. Let's see. All right. Okay, so you have enough points there. So yeah, so you have communicate and understand and move are the places where you can put focuses. So you have 2 more to pop in there, Reza.
I thought I already did that.
You have charm and disguise, but you get 2 more focuses, foci.
I don't know what to make them yet.
Oh, okay. All right, we can put a pin in that and come back. You're good. So in the meantime, let's move on to drives and drive statements. So let's bring this up. Okay, oops. There we go. All right. So drives and drive statements. So yes, under drives, we have duty, faith, justice, power, truth. These are things that you have a skill, you have a natural skill for something, and then you have this drive within you. What is important to you? What pushes you forward to do the thing? So you have, duty, and I think they give really good examples in the book of this. But let's kind of go over the basics. Let's see. Come on. Okay. And I can't find exactly where they give those great examples, but basically, yeah. So duty, duty.
105 is where they start.
105. Of course they do. I'm way at 120.
I guess 106 would have the examples. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Yeah. So yeah, example statements on 106. So yeah, 105. Duty. Duty's pressure upon the character to find their place in society, filling their role, the weight of obligations and responsibilities. Faith, moral expectation. It can be religious and spiritual, or it can be. This can be concerning like faith in the house, the people, to do the right thing and to help you act correctly from a moral standpoint, if you will. Justice, balance and fairness, the will to redress injustice, all kinds of cool stuff. Power, it kind of speaks for itself. It's most obvious of all of them, right? Truth, desire for knowledge, need to uncover and define what is true. But keep in mind that it can also, the way you look at these can also be in a negative sense. Like faith can be, don't trust anybody but myself. There you go. That's like a type of faith statement. Should we get it when we get a drive statements next? But kind of keep that in mind as you're giving them these ratings. That yes, the outlook you have on a given thing can be the negative version of it as well. Truth is only good when I know it, etc. So let's see here. So under drives, given that, and again, we can kind of go over things as we go here. Your most important drive is rated an 8, second most is 7, and then a 6, a 5, and a 4. And anything with a 6 or higher gets a drive statement. And that's basically, it's kind of an interesting mechanic. A drive mechanic can kind of supersede the drive itself. Like, even in beta testing, I think we kind of went over, like, how people could use a drive statement when the actual drive itself didn't really apply. And according to Modiphius's 2D20 rules, that's totally okay. Like, if the drive statement you have works, that comes first. If you're out of drive statements that work, now it's time to go looking at, well, what does duty mean to me? What does justice mean to me? That kind of thing. So, and they fully expect you to play to your strengths, so always try for the highest one. But I also have the opportunity to say, yeah, now you're becoming predictable, and I'm going to add to difficulties if you keep using that specific drive as you roll every single time, because people know what you're doing now. You're predictable. You're basic. No, you're not basic. I would never call anybody basic. It's fine. Don't do that. But yes, you get the general idea. All right. So again, let's see here. So highest is an 8. So this is the thing that means most to you, or you intend to be using most in your doings and goings on. So 1 8, 1 7, and 6 5 4. 8 7 6 5 4 is basically. And once you are feeling at least somewhat comfortable with that, we'll look at drive statements. And this is something, as Steve will agree with, I'm sure, that is pulled straight from Cortex types of games. This is Cortex. What was the version of it way back in the day?
Cortex Plus, but Small was the original.
Yeah, so Cortex Dramatic, I think, is what they called it way back when, where basically you had this thing that you believed in that pushed you forward. So I think there's no game out there that's exactly, brand spanking new out of the box. Everybody takes from something else. There's really great ideas out there. Why not reuse them to make it even better? And we'll see if this is better. I think 2D20 has a whole lot to offer, so that's cool.
It's
Reza, you're looking. What's that?
I was just gonna say it's reminiscent of Fate's aspects too, in a lot of ways.
Absolutely, yeah.
Cool. Reza, how are you doing? You're looking pensive. You're also muted.
I'm just trying to figure out what to put into spots and what to rate them at.
Oh, I got you. Yeah. Do you need some help? We're as a group, we're happy to help you out too.
It's just making decisions, and like I said, are they?
Okay. There's no real bad decisions here.
How many total points for drives?
So you have 4 through 8. So
yeah,
you have to just rank them.
Yep. So 8, 7, 6, 5, 4.
Yeah, that's the biggest one that I don't struggle with, but just trying to figure out, like, okay, if I'm doing something that I'm good at, what drive am I most likely to use, or what 2 drives am I most likely to use, versus, if I wanted to, run around beating up people because, I thought I was better than them, that's, maybe power, but since I'm going with protector, it becomes, okay, I'm really doing things based on either, duty or maybe justice.
Yeah.
So those things have to be, more important.
Absolutely. So just so that Jonathan can make it through the evening, we're at our halfway mark. So let's go ahead and take our 10-minute break. And that'll give everyone an idea to kind of think this over. These drives are important. I mean, they're a very big stat in the game. Now, and here's what else I want you guys to understand. 2 things. If we're in like the middle of session 1 and you hate where you've assigned stuff, I'm way willing to let you manipulate stuff and change stuff around to make you happy with what you have. I do not want to be that bastard GM that locks you in a role or a character that you hate. Now, if we're 6 games in, now you're kind of stuck and you're going to have to use the mechanics of the game to change your stats in advance, which in this game does give you ample opportunity to do that. So keep that in mind also. So anyway, on that note, let's take our 10. I will see you all shortly. And we'll continue on. So give it some thoughts. Get hydrated. Do whatever it is all of you do. And the camera's not on. All that good stuff. And we're back from our break. Everybody's hydrated or anti-hydrated, as the case may be. And munchies are had. All the good stuff. Everything. We gotta keep everything lubricated. A lot of talking. Whatever it takes. So good. So when we left our worthy adventurers, they're working on drives and drive statements. How are y'all doing on those? Any questions? Anything I can help with? Any guidance I can give? Any guidance we as a group can give? Because we'd love to. If it's one thing role players have, it's opinions.
My guess is I'm going to put something in now, but I'll probably change it. I am completely curious as to why the character sheet has 3 spots for that.
I assume so you can scratch them out if you lose
Reference to the old one, maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, let's take a look. I hadn't actually noticed. Interesting. I suppose. Yeah, because
you can reuse it.
Yeah, I figured out that the checkbox. Is it the checkbox to the right is challenged? Mm-hmm. It's like if you have crossed it out, then you hit the little thing there. Yeah, that's cool. I suppose that makes sense, where you can see kind of like a development of it. But yeah, that's the advanced version. We're not quite there yet. So yeah. All right. So everybody is pretty much good to go. 87654. That was not a countdown. That was how many points you put in there. So. Good.
Yeah, I just need to come up with statements.
All right.
I have like
thank you for that segue.
Statements, so
yeah, and again, I know I asked you to kind of save stuff for a game for session 0, but conversely, I don't want you to I don't want you to stress overplaying a role playing game. So don't feel like you have to have all this stuff filled out. Like it has to be in stone. I've been drinking soda type beverages. It's not in stone. Again, I want you to have a good time. So let me help you to help me to make you have a good time, and that means, again, making the character that you want. And just as a side note, for those of you who have not gamed with me before, I am very open to constructive criticism. So I want to make your worlds fun. So if you're coming to my sessions and not having fun, I have majorly screwed up, and I need to know about it, and I need to fix it. One of my things that definitely Steve can contest to, yeah. Anyway, can tell you about is the fact that I'm big on everybody getting equal spotlight. I have been in sessions, many of them, Shadowrun, where you showed up for your session just like you were supposed to, and then you sat around the whole damn time as one other person did stuff, and then the game session ended and you had done nothing but sit there and be a team player and watch from the bench. I don't ever want that to happen. I want, for every time you show up at my game, I want you to get as equal spotlight as I can get you, and sometimes you are making it hard on me. But and I'll try, if you're not getting your own spotlight, I'll try to push you in. But again, I'm not going to force you to do anything. And second, I want you to feel by the end of the night you contributed, that the session would have been different without you there. So those are my goals as a game master. And I like to think I generally follow through on those. But if I don't, this is something you need to communicate to me. And that's just my game master style. If you want to do that in public, that's cool. My ego is not super huge. If you want to talk to me on Discord, that's great too. But I want you to look forward to every session with me. That, you know, it's I don't want to call it like, you know, the high point of your week, but I want it to be a high point of your week where like you, yes, Sunday's coming, you know, type of thing. Not as much as Friday, like, you know, end of the work week or anything, but I know I can't compete with that, but you get my point. So anyway, that being said, let's continue. So anybody need help with drive statements? And if not, if you decided on something that you are comfortable with, share them, please. Let's hear them.
I'll share mine. I think I've decided on one.
Excellent. Let me bring up my sheet real quick.
Yeah. So if you bring up my sheet, you'll see I had some secondary candidates for 2 of my drives that I think I've decided where I want to sit for now, but I may change them.
Okay.
So my 3 are under duty, which is my 6. I owe the Sisterhood a great debt, and I'm specifically giving you permission as a GM here to force her to choose where her loyalties lie between the House and the Sisterhood. So that one may change over time. Under power, which is my 8, I have picked I refuse to fall into obscurity as her drive statement there. And then for truth, which is my 7, I'm using truth is best when I control it.
Oh, nice. Very cool. And something, and Naya points out a really great point that these statements can and likely will develop over time. When you try to use one, so for just to bring up some mechanics, just for general discussion, let's say you bring up a drive statement, and let's say that what you want to do conflicts with that drive statement. Like, I really want to use my power drive statement. Like, let's see here. Let's use a kind of example. So I refuse to fall into obscurity for Anaya. So I'm trying to think of a great situation where that won't apply. Let's say that Anaya is trying to use her power. Oh God, I'm really having trouble with this one. Power to kind of like manipulate from behind the throne type of thing. She's trying to have someone else take the spotlight while she is technically in obscurity. So I'm going to say as a jam, like, hey, that kind of conflicts. You want to, your power, if you're going to use your power, you're going to use that statement, you need to be the center. So this conflicts. So you can either do one or 2 things. You can either decide to say, yes, I agree with this statement. And basically what happens is in that case, I'll give you a point of determination, which is very powerful. And I have the ability to immediately put some complications on you, at least one complication, up to and including you can't do this. So so I can basically say, you know, okay, so if you're gonna follow through on this, like, this is your statement, you want to keep it, Anaya, then if you want to use this, I'm gonna give you a point of determination, but I'm also gonna give you a complication of you can't do this thing. So suddenly she's gonna be like, well, crap, I kind of can't do this. I can't do what I was planning to do. Conversely, she can say, you know what, this statement isn't working out for me, and I'll give her a point of determination. She crosses it off, and she can, you know, use it, that statement as she wishes right now, but then it's gone for the rest of the session. And at the end of that session, she basically has to figure out if she's keeping it or not. And I believe if you crossed it out, you I forget how, I'm gonna have to look up the mechanics, but basically one of the mechanics is you now change your drive statement. So changing a drive statement is as easy as acting against it and deciding that the way you're presently using it is better than what you set up. So it's quite easy to do it. it's mechanically beneficial for you to do it sometimes. The system, and what kind of, when you look at a role-playing game, look at what it gives you benefits for. So it wants you, the system wants you to challenge these things. It wants them to evolve, or it wants you to stick to your guns and suffer the consequences, that kind of thing. So that's kind of what gives another level of drama to the game. So that's that kind of thing. So excellent. Thank you for sharing those with us, Inara. Inara. I'm sorry. I'm all back in the Firefly verse there.
It's okay. There's definitely some Inara in her.
Fair enough. So yes, Inaya. So anyone have any other drive statements you want to share with us? Right off. Again, nothing here is in stone.
I've I was saying I've got some placeholders, but I'm kind of trying to look at how to make them a little more, I guess, dual natured, to kind of, because like I love giving GMs fuel for the fire. Like, please feel free to lean on that and give me those tough choices. Like that's what I love in RPGs. And like I said, I've got some kind of placeholders there, and like they kind of, I think, are roughly accurate to what I see Jindo's sort of outlook being. Duty to the house, people are the true strength of a house. That seems appropriate, But I guess I'm having difficulty figuring out or seeing where that gets contested. And I don't know, maybe not everything is going to get contested, but
right. Like, for example, okay, so let's take a look at your duty right away. So people are the true strength of the house. So this can be, you can use this this is a very multifaceted type of thing. If you're like, trying to, jazz up the troops type of thing, people are the strength of the house. You get to use your 8 there. When you're trying to back other forces of the house up, people are true strengths of the house. So I can see a lot of different uses here. And can we, does it need to be contestable? It should have some kind of possibility of that. But there's for example, in this one, there's like, okay, people are the true strength of the house. But I'm doing a role that involves, one of my superiors is telling me to sacrifice all my people to get this hill. So are people the true strength of the house?
Yeah.
Or you want to stick to that? Do you want to change that? Do you agree with that? So,
that's the conversation. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, and Jindo, Jonathan points out something really important here is drive should be something you can potentially contest. It shouldn't be just the one thing, or it shouldn't be just good or just bad, though they're, that kind of thing. So kind of keep that in mind when you're making. So let's look at, Jonathan, you mind if we continue looking at your other stuff right now? They're placeholders. Please. All right. So justice is decided by the living. Ooh, that has a lot of interesting connotations. Like, does this character have a lot of qualms against like murdering people? It's for the house.
Justice is lower.
Yeah, exactly. That kind of thing. So justice decided by the living, there are very many ways we go with that. So power. Those who have the true power seldom wield it. Now that's when I have trouble seeing where you would actually use it.
It's one of those things that I grabbed from the example list because I felt like it sounded like something he would believe in, but I have a hard time seeing it in play,
Yeah.
So that's definitely something that could get tweaked or replaced.
Yeah. So that's another thing. So a drive statement should be something that's contestable and something that's also useful, because you only get to put a drive statement in when it's a 6 or higher in the drive. So this is kind of important. This is the stuff you're going to use most often. So keep that in mind. It should be usable. It should be contestable. If you're having trouble thinking of ways it can be either of those, maybe move to something else or talk it out with the group. Again, it seems like we're all available on Discord all the time. I'm at least gettable, etc. So we're happy to help. That's one of the cool things about role players I've learned over the years. we're creative and we want to help others be creative too, as a general thing. We also like to tell you about our characters. That's another thing that role players tend to do quite a lot. But there's that. We all knew that. We all knew what we're getting into. So yes. So yeah, kind of keep that in mind. And again, nothing here is in stone. And we can talk things out on Discord. I would like you to have something you're comfortable with going forward with, next week, next Sunday. But again, even that, like I said, if you get into it and it's just sucking, it's not working out for you, we can change things around. I don't want you to feel like you're trapped in a character you don't want to be in. Okay.
Cool. Yeah.
All right. So let's see. All right. So anyone need any help with drive statements, or should we continue on?
I'll still be working on mine for a while, so.
That's fair enough. All right. So let's see here. We got drive statements. All right. Now assets. So your character begins play with 3 assets, one of which must be tangible. So this is kind of interesting on several fronts. So if for those who played the beta thing, these tangible assets can be anything from a shield belt to a dagger to a small security contingent, that kind of thing.
Did we
What's that?
Did we skip talents?
I was just going to ask the same thing. Yeah, we did.
Sorry, just reviewing the list again, and I'm like,
I'm
pretty
sorry.
sure that's the last thing I needed to do.
Sure. So let's do it. Let's jump back to talents just to do it. Talents is the hardest to
which assets we take.
Right. Yeah. Agreed. Sorry about that. Yeah, I'm kind of skipping around here. All right. So yeah, let's go to talents. Talents are basically the rule breakers. Like, if you want to do this, you're going to roll these dice, unless you do this thing and you have this talent, and then you can do that. So this is the kind of part I really can't help anybody with, directly, because you just got to choose your own talents. There's all kinds of possibilities. It does help. I'm not sure if all of you are completely, I know I'm not completely familiar with the 2D20 rules, but I feel competent with them and confident. But if you're having trouble with that, I'd be happy to help you through some talents. But otherwise, it's basically just looking at the list. Keep in mind that Bene Gesserit are the only ones that can take Bene Gesserit talents. Mentats are the only ones that can take Mentat talents, and etc. But otherwise, this is another way to make your character not the same as the next. It's basically in what way do you want it? Do you see yourself helpfully breaking the rules for yourself, for your group, etc.? So again, unfortunately, they're just so varied. There's nothing really I can really point you in the direction of. It's more look them over and see what makes you happy.
And am I correct that sort of like focuses and skills, your archetype gives you a talent, but you don't have to take that talent, right?
Just one.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, unless you're a faction. So if you're Bene Gesserit, you have to take Prana Bindu. If you're a Mentat, right, you have to take something else. I forget what the heck it is offhand.
Yeah, I think there's
it says there's a couple of different ones for Mentat.
Yeah, you just have to take one out of the list.
Right. Of course, the one I'm looking at isn't in with the rest of the talents.
Damn it.
They forgot to put foreknowledge in with the list of talents.
Oh, they have it, at least on my book they do. And the mandatory talent.
Okay, I'm looking at... Oh, no, I mean under talents.
Oh.
A block of information about it.
Huh. I think they maybe named it something differently. Because there's a Prescience one fairly early in the talent list, if I recall. There are a couple editing errors in here. There's a calculated prediction, and I think that maybe maps to foreknowledge, but I'm not positive.
Maybe. Yeah, that would make sense. Yeah, they named it differently. I think you're right.
It's a possible class and they don't list it, so
Yeah, go for it.
wouldn't surprise me.
Well, I liked the idea of it as foreknowledge more than I do calculated prediction.
Okay.
Like, to me, that's like, okay, I've learned this information about this house that we're going to, so I know the little intricacies, not so much setting up a prediction.
Got it.
Yeah, that's a pretty powerful ability too. We'll see how it goes. Is it OP? I don't think so, but we'll find out. I think it'll be just dandy.
I say calculate prediction is a tough one, both on the GM side and the player side. It's like,
yeah, it's
GM,
like
this could happen, and the player's like, "But will it?" You know?
Maybe.
I also feel like verify the Mentat talent is could potentially be crazy taxing on the GM.
Oh yeah, that one. Yeah, spend a point of moment to ask the GM a piece of information you have is true or false. Doesn't even require a skill test. Let's see. And the data must be in your supposition. It can be basically you can be supposing, like putting out theories and stuff too. But we'll see how that goes. And I haven't looked at Inaya's sheet, but if she didn't choose Bene Gesserit voice, I don't even know her anymore.
I did choose voice, yeah. You were correct. I have Prana Bindu condition because I have to have it. I have voice, and then I have passive scrutiny. That's my other one.
Ooh. What is Path of Scrutiny?
When you enter a scene, you may ask one question of the GM as if you'd spent momentum to obtain information.
Oh, neat. And that there are other abilities there that are not, faction related that give you that kind of power. It's a matter of what's important to you. What's that?
I remember that in the playtest, the passive scrutiny.
Yeah, I had it. I remember playing it in the playtest, and I really liked it. So, and it actually was the recommended talent from the archetype I took, and I was like, "Well, I'll just take it again, and then I can take voice as my other one, and Prana Bindu." So,
perfect. All right, Riza, how are you doing?
I'm getting there, I think.
Cool. Getting there is good. We like getting there. Cool. But yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. If you want some advice, again, role players have opinions that you may either use or not, as you will. It won't hurt our feelings, trust me. But yeah, talents are so cool in that they're just like, again, yet another way the system lets you not be that cookie cutter character. And it's just, it can be like, again, something to do with your role. It can be something just about you, et cetera, et cetera. It's a lot of neat stuff. So again, just a matter of what you want to do. And some of these are, I don't know. There's a couple I'm like ransack. I looked that over. Say, when you attempt to understand test to search an area, you may add 2 to threat to reduce the difficulty of the test by 1, and have the amount of time the test takes. Like, unless you're going to be searching stuff a lot, that's a talent, man. Talents are huge. Be sure you're going to be searching shit.
It was going to be one of the ones I took. As an infiltrator, searches stuff a lot.
There you go. Yeah, and again, if you're going to take it, be sure you're going to be searching shit. You can, by the way, this you have to click a little button to get into this stream that says this is a mature stream, so we're allowed to swear here generally, kind of. Don't do it all the time is all I ask, but if you need to drop the occasional F-bomb, yeah, I'll bleep you out later. No, I really don't ever bleep that out. Whatever. So just so you know, is anyone here offended by profanity? I'm going to have to ask that. Okay.
I was going to say, did anyone else go through that
The lines and veils sheet.
Yeah, I went through and looked it over and checked a couple things.
Cool. So yeah, I encourage you all to do that. Since we're talking about it, we got good in the segue. Thanks, Steve. I appreciate that actually. Into safety things. Yeah. So go to that lines and veils sheet. I popped in the Discord. Fill it out. I want to know what you're not comfortable with. Again, this circles back to I want you to have fun. I don't want you to dread a session with Scott's Case Files. And I also don't want you to feel traumatized or anything. I mean, there was a day back in my day, you just played whatever the GM brought down on you and you sucked it up. Even if it sucked or horrified you or you were against it or whatever, you just lived with it because that's the way it went. But now we're in a more enlightened age, which I think is way, way better, where the GM gets to say, hey, I don't want to traumatize you. I want you to have fun on your terms. And if they match with mine, then we're going to have a great time. So yeah, pop that down there. And of course, there's always the X card. I want to point that out. You have the ability to, at any time, without need for explanation, and I prefer you not do it in Discord because I so rarely look at Discord chat. I will miss it. But say X card or X. I generally do. I'm looking at you and I'm talking to you. I have you on my screen here. X.
Put a little card on the on your Roll20 page.
Well, I say something because it's I kind of go back on my screens because I'm also my own producer. I'm not sure if you guys realize that I do all the scene switching and all that kind of good stuff. So right now I don't see Roll20 or the Discord chat. I couldn't tell you what's on there to save my life. I actually have to move there to get there. And I'm not generally doing that unless I'm also switching the view that the viewers on Twitch see to that. So right now I see you guys. So if you guys put this up or you say X card, I'm going to react to it. I don't want to see that 20 minutes later and feel like a doofus and a bastard.
Be a little more forward than I was maybe in a previous campaign.
Yes, there is a perfectly good time to do the X card. So basically the way the X card works is you do the thing. You don't have to explain why you're doing it. I don't need to know that you're afraid of platypuses and I put a platypus in the game. I don't need to know that. We encounter a platypus, X card, but we do need to know what we kind of have to back away from. So you don't have to explain it, but you at least have to tell it what the X card was so we can not do it. What happens is, if whatever that thing was that you X carded, that never happened. We back away from that. Whatever we did goes down a different route that doesn't encounter the X carded thing. So I just want to take the time to point that out also. Yes, you're not going to hurt my feelings by X carding me. You're going to upset me because I upsetted you and I wasn't told about it and I crushed your soul or something. That would hurt me deeply. So X card me if you need to, if I do something. And again, I'm a fallible person. We're going to do the lines and veils. I'm going to check it over. I'm going to look at it quite often. But as part of my job, the people who have gamed with me, I do a lot of improvisation. Almost everything I do is improvisation. And that sometimes means, boom, I go over here. Boom, I go over there. Didn't give it a lot of thought, just did it. So I'm fallible and I do a lot of that. So X card me if you need to. And that's cool. No, nothing will be held against you, etc., etc. So that being said, how has talents come in?
Well, since I completely changed my concept a little bit when I started the game, I'm coming up with my initial list that I can whittle down from, 6, down to however many were allowed.
Yeah, let's take a look at that.
And now I'm playing a disciplined character, so I can, rigorous control isn't a bad talent to take.
Right. All right, let's see here. So, let's see. So you have 3 talents at start of game here. That first one that in theory has something to do with your role, and then the other 2, and then we can move on. Let's see. But yeah, talents are so cool because they are the rule breakers. They're the thing that your character does so much better because they can break the rules. They can alter things. You have more agency, kind of, sort of. And since we're talking about that, there is one thing I did want to mention in terms of talents, and that is the voice. So, Indaya. So the voice, okay, let me read off the basics here. Yeah, so you have been trained to modulate your voice, but we all know what the voice is. We're all Dune fans. Let's see. So with the skill, you can subtly manipulate others, alter motivations, or even compel action from the unwilling. You can use voice whenever you speak to someone else, although you must be able to observe them for a short while beforehand. So you don't just walk in a room and voice somebody. Is that a verb now? I hope not. But yeah, you have to observe them. You have to, as you learn from the books, you have to get their pitch, their tone. That's going to work on them, and you do that by observing them and hearing their own voice. So when you use the voice, you may add 1, 2, or 3 points of threat. Let's see, to score the same number of automatic successes on any communicate test made to influence your chosen target. The greater the number of successes, the more overt it is. So if someone actually has a clue what it is, and that you spent 2, maybe they just realize what you just did. So there is the possibility that this will be used on you as player characters, either by Anaya. No, of course she wouldn't do that, or by an NPC. In essence, what this does is it removes your agency to a degree. You're basically having a communication test with somebody, and if you fail, the social contract here is you do what that is. So, like if they say back off, and you fail if they win the voice roll against you, the communication roll, you will back off. So I want to make sure everyone is cool with that kind of thing, because again, that you've basically, for that action, given up your agency. You have to abide by if we'll call it a social contract of the voice agreement type of thing. And I know that I have encountered some people where like that would be 100% unacceptable at any time. So does anyone have any problems with that?
For what's worth, I have no intention of using it against the other players for precisely that reason. So that's...
I cannot promise the same from NPCs. So I appreciate you adding it, but that is one reason I'm asking. Does anyone have anything against that? Do we have a general agreement that if you lose a communication roll against someone with the voice, that you're going to do what they want, basically? And I suppose really that's like losing any such role. You kind of have to. I suppose that maybe I'm overthinking it, because if you're just in a normal communication role with someone and you're arguing or trying to get your way, let me through, don't let me through, let me through, guard saying no, that's not my thing. If you win that test even without the voice, they are going to back down. And in theory, that's by engaging in that test with someone, you are going to do that. So maybe I'm overthinking this, and even though the voice makes it easier to do that, the same thing is happening regardless. If you enter into a test, you agree that you could lose and have to do
a little bit more mind control-y, on the surface. Yeah. It's,
I think you're right to think that, I don't think you're overthinking it because of that, because it is a compulsion. It's not just, I tried to convince you, it's I'm trying to compel you, Yeah.
Compel versus convince. I like that.
For what it's worth, like player, not to call it what it, PvP or anything, but like it, anytime there's any kind of interaction of that nature where you're like, I'm not sure about this. Like, I just ask other players, like, hey, would it be okay if like your character and my character got in like maybe a heated argument over this? Is that okay? Like, to me, it's the same thing. If like, hey, I think it would be appropriate if Anaya tried to voice Jindo here. Like, yeah, go for it, if that do.
Cool. Reza,
but that's just me.
You're silent. This is me giving you some spotlight, Reza. You're going to experience that a lot.
Oh, God. No, I'm good. I'm just kind of listening to what's going on. And
okay. I just want to make sure, like I said, I have encountered some players where that would be verboten. even the idea of that. But again, the system makes it where basically it's just helping you. It's making the test easier. I mean, yes, it is compelling over convincing, but it is still mechanically the same thing. Just automatic successes, that kind of thing. So okay, cool. I just want to make sure we're cool with that. So when the time comes that I have some Bene Gesserit voices you in the game of my creation, that we don't have to figure it out right then and there, and we can just work this out.
It seems like it would work thematically, is I think what it kind of comes down to.
That too. Very good point. Excellent. Cool. All right. Anyone else still doing talents?
Yeah, but I will be, so it's fine.
All right. Fair enough.
Trust that I'll do them.
Yeah, I think I'm kind of like, I have placeholders that I think work for me, and it kind of like we were talking about with the drive statements. Like I'm good to start with this, and if it doesn't work, we'll tweak it or change it or something.
Yeah, and I highly encourage you to make use of our Discord. Again, I'm generally available. I have access to it on a daily basis, and I hope you guys have seen on the Discord that I'm pretty reactive to things. There have been days when I've just been like either in total, gotta get intro movie done, bro, and I have to catch up on stuff, or I've been just cracking the whip on myself to do stuff, and getting to Discord has been a secondary thing. But generally speaking, I'm all over it. So feel free to communicate with me. I'm open door, all that stuff, etc., etc. So don't be shy. I am here for you to chat with if you need. All right, so let's do assets. So something to remember in the system of 2D20 is that assets are traits, in essence. They can, just like traits, they can make something possible or impossible, or easier or harder. Let's see, for example, I want to poison someone. Well, do you have a poison asset of some sort? No, I don't. Okay, well, that's impossible for you to poison someone. You can create an asset. It doesn't have to be a one that you personally selected. At this point in the character creation process, the game gives you ample opportunity to spend momentum to make stuff. But basically, you need assets on the table or in play to make things possible, impossible, easier, harder, etc., etc. So, and again, don't feel trapped with what you choose here. So, for example, one of the interesting, I can't remember if it's in the book or if I saw it on the Modiphius forums, but for example, this there was a situation or a scenario where this guy he spends some advancement points, which we'll get into it another time, to make his dagger asset better. This is a dagger he got from the Duke, and it means a lot. It's important. Assets are important things. So I'm going to boost the level of that asset, which in the case of a knife makes it easier to defeat people with. Then let's say he becomes a Fremen or joins them, and now he wants to get a Chris knife. Well, crap. Well, now I have this knife that I don't ever want to use again or whatever. I want to get the Chris knife. Well, okay, so the knife is now not the Duke's knife, it's the Chris knife. We've swapped that out, and it's the same level as the dagger from the Duke, etc., etc. It's just you've kind of expended things in a different direction now. So you lost the one, you gained the other of the same level, etc. Hope I'm making sense here. I feel like I'm rambling at this point. But you get the idea. So assets also are not something you're locked into. I think they're the more stable of things that you could choose here, of when we're talking drive statements, which are changeable every session potentially. So assets are kind of things that are important to you, and they're probably the most stable trait you have. So kind of keep that in mind. And assets can be at least one of these three you choose has to be tangible. The others can be intangible. They can be, I have an asset of blackmail on one of the emperor's daughters, And now when that's appropriate to come on the table, you put the table. Oh yeah, you're not getting into, the ball past the one daughter. Oh, well, guess what? I have this asset, this which is a trait that makes this possible for me to do that. So now I'm going to get into this. I can actually get into a communication role with her to let me in, or something to that effect. It can also be on the tangible side. It can be small groups of people. Like if you played the beta, like the servant had a contingent of fellow servants, or was it the criminal? The criminal had underworld contacts or an underworld gang, that kind of thing. A soldier could have a small attachment of like 4 people. And generally, these are played in, if you're using them as assets, then they're basically traits. So, okay, I can't control this crowd. Or I'm like, okay, you can't control this crowd. Well, I have this asset of security contingent. So, okay, yeah, now that makes this possible. You've used this asset/trait to make this thing possible, and maybe even easier. But I think you can only do one thing from that list at the time. So, etc. You see how potentially powerful it can be. So, and again, those can morph and change over time. So think about that. It can also be something that's like a personal. They even use like your personal thopter, something that's like it's not. It is a vehicle, so I'm not going to call it small, but it's it's not large. It's not a troop carrier. That's a different asset. That's a different kind of asset, something you don't have access to quite yet. But it could be an asset that's given to you in play, potentially, depending on what you do. But yeah, so it can be a personal thing that you have access to, an intangible thing that makes things possible or easier, or it can be a physical thing, or it can be a small group of people that do something for you that you have total access to. So keep that in mind as you choose. Anybody have an interesting one that they're thinking of, like out of the norm?
Well, I was looking through the options, like the pre-written assets chapter, which is later in the PDF. And there was I can't remember which category it was under, but there was one that was basically, it was debtor. And it was the idea that someone who owes you a favor, basically, or owes you something, I guess. Mm-hmm. And so I definitely want to do that. I just haven't quite figured out the details around it yet. So.
Exactly. And just like, like drive statements, an asset should be something you feel like you can make use of regularly. So yeah, if this is if you want an asset of, I have bribery information or blackmail information on this pundy rice dealer, well, crap. When are we going to use that? Make sure it's something that you feel, because again, you start off with 3. I think you can get a maximum of 5, assuming you don't have a talent that allows you to get extra. So at any given time, you can have 5 permanent personal assets total. You start off with 3. So these are kind of important. Those are, unless you're willing to expend a whole talent on getting some more, these are kind of your things. So make sure they're useful. And again, with the idea that they can morph and, change over time and that kind of good stuff. So, but yeah, they should be something you feel like you'll get some use out of. And just as a note, I would say that one that most of you should have is a shield belt. I'd highly recommend it. This is a thing that you can, get access to as a, member of a house. A shield belt, if you're ever going to be in combat, is a good thing. You can also, create an asset of it if you should need. Like normally, I'm Anaya the dancer, and I normally don't wear a shield belt, but I do. I kept one in this small backpack that I always carry with me, and that's one of the ways you can produce a temporary asset, or on the fly. Basically, spend a couple of momentum, and you have okay, that seems reasonable. Nobody searched your bag or anything, or had a reason to take a shield belt from you. And if you say that's always been there, that's cool. It sounds logical. So spend that 2 momentum, and suddenly you have a shield belt for this one situation. But generally speaking, I would highly recommend that. For one, this is a shield. I have a whole video I need to make on this subject of shield belts, but the TLDR version is, it's so important in the sense that it defines warfare within the Duneverse. It defines it, period. Lasguns are worthless because you're going to blow everything up, and thermonuclear war. So that's bad, no matter how, even the good version of that sucks horribly. As the book points out, you'll, even for the slightest, accidental infraction, you're done. You're hunted till the ends of the earth, the ends of the known universe. Two, it makes, there is no such thing in the Duneverse as a sniper. It's a literal impossibility. You can't kill someone from a mile away in the Duneverse unless you're willing to engage in lasgun warfare, which is, again, refer to note number 1. So basically, it makes it so that explosives are worthless in the Duneverse. The concussion from a bomb is exceeding that 5 centimeters per second limit. You are protected from bombs for all intents and purposes. That kind of thing. So, ranged weapons are useless against you, and also the rulebook says while you're using a shield, you cannot use a ranged weapon. So that brings us to the method of warfare, which is close combat, either through blades or through assassination devices like the pin in the palm type of thing. So that's something that can slowly penetrate that shield. And one other thing, before I have a whole video I want to make on this, so I'm not going to waste your time. But the other thing I want to point out is the reason that the whole Bene Gesserit weirding way thing isn't really even mentioned or used or anything until we get to Arrakis is because guess what? Punching people is also pretty worthless. In order to hurt someone with a punch or a kick, you need speed, you need force. And if you're moving at 5 to 6 centimeters per second, guess what? You don't have that. So hand-to-hand combat is very limited. That's why there's no clubs used as weapons, because guess what? You also need to be, it has to be heavy and it has to be moving. So it's only when we get to Arrakis that suddenly, where shields are verboten because they will call worms and kill everyone. And then they're also affected by the windstorms, the electrical storms, that they become useless, that suddenly punching somebody is a really freaking great idea, and now the reading way is pretty awesome. It's a great thing to do, but so those things to keep in mind. So that's the reason. Again, I highly recommend it. You at least think of having a shield belt asset, or have a way which you could, again, to make a temporary asset on the fly by spending 2 momentum. It should have some kind of logical basis, kind of the thing I give, Anaya always has this little satchel with her that she carries notes or things in and whatnot. By the way, I haven't brought it out before, but it has a shield belt in it, so I'm spending 2 momentum for shield belt. Okay, as a GM, I'm like, oh, okay, well, we didn't go through a weapon scanner that would have taken away your shield belt, so the fiction works for that. Just because we haven't seen it before doesn't mean it's not there. It seems logical. Yes, go ahead and spend that 2 momentum. You have a shield belt for this scene. And then you can make things permanent by spending more momentum, keeping it to the end of the session, or even making it another personal asset as you go along. So again, that's all mechanic stuff that we won't get into right now, but I want you to keep that in mind. But shield belt, great idea. And then let's go from there. Anybody else still working on assets or want to talk it out? I apologize for my shield belt rant. I really need to get that video out so I can just get it out of my system and refer people to it. But yes, I feel much better. That was like therapy for me right there. I'm sorry. So yeah, I'm better now. So okay, assets. How was everybody doing? Okay. And again, let's talk about it through Discord through the week if you're not set on something, but I want to at least touch base on this and talk about it a little bit. So we've done so I'm happy. If you're happy, I'm happy. So let's see here. All right. So we have talents, we have drive statements, we have assets, and now finishing touches. So let's see here. Let's see. I think we already handled the trait. But now, and we pretty much done. We've talked about all the personal details. Your name, your personality. We haven't really talked appearance, but I would like to say that for session 1, if that's okay. Kind of introduce yourselves to each other and describe them at that time. But we do have something kind of cool, which is ambition, which is something that Jonathan brought up earlier. So let's look at that. So your ambition is related to, I believe, your highest drive, and kind of points the character in the direction that they're working towards. It's like their dream job or their dream thing to get done. So let me see if I can find the actual page on it.
108.
108. Thank you. It also comes up on 123 too. Let's see here. So yeah, so during character creation, your character's ambition should be based on your highest rated drive. So let's look at whatever your highest rated drive is. And your game master, that's me, will work with you to define one for your character, an ambition. Helping to create something which can come up and play frequently. The ambition may change over time as drives chip. So like, again, if you end up taking one drive down and moving one up, it's time to change your ambition too, because your ambition has changed based on that for all intents and purposes. So yeah, so duty, ambitions are about service or, moving up in the ranks, that kind of thing. Faith, religious, spiritual stuff, attempts to undermine or destroy things based on faith. Justice, I think you get the general idea. Yeah, I'll read through the thing. So, justice, ambitions driven by a sense of fairness or balance, desire to right wrongs, including personal grudges and vendettas. Yeah. Vendettas are also huge in the Duneverse, FYI. Power, ambitions about gaining influence. I mean, that again, power kind of speaks for itself on all, we all get it. I don't have it, but I get it. Truth, ambitions, uncovering knowledge. Like there's a secret you want to learn about. Don't make it anything about discovering what the Bene Tilex do. Okay, just don't do that to me as a GM. I'll hate you for a little while, but just briefly, I assure you. So like getting knowledge, spreading knowledge, etc., etc. So, does anyone have one off the bat that they really feel good about? And I always is set.
I sort of gave mine earlier. She kind of has 2, but there's the more short-term one, which is become a Reverend Mother. Like, do this job, do it well, become a Reverend Mother. And the more long-term one, which is basically she wants Reverend Mother Mahim's job as Imperial Truthsayer. Like, that's where she sees herself someday.
Cool. So which is it based off of? Is that your power?
Power, yeah. Power 3.
Okay, so yes. Yeah, so either of those really work. So you can only have one ambition, so choose one of those for right off.
I'll probably do the more long-term one, because I think that gives more space to play in for now.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and so much more to develop, and, becoming a Reverend Mother is part of taking the Reverend Mother's, the Reverend Mother's, not Reverend Mother, the Mother Superior's spot, etc. So, yes, and so much more that can guide that. So yeah, that'll come up every session. I can totally see that. Reza, how about you? Do you have anything that you're thinking about?
Probably becoming a famous actor or singer, something along those lines is kind of what she's aiming for.
Okay. So what I do want to caution you is that eventually the idea is you'll eventually be moving up from this where you won't be really having a lot of contact with the actors and play staff of the house. You're eventually going to be moving to somewhere else. So if that conflicts, I mean, that can certainly be what your ambition is, but just realize that that ambition might take you out of the group if they're steering in a different direction. You know what I'm saying?
Well, there was that. It's like I haven't quite figured out if like trying to do the actress thing is going to be a cover up for being a spy, or if the spy is being a cover up for being an actress.
Oh wow, that is cool. I like that so much. Think about it. Again, nothing's in stone here. And if you need some sounding boards. Let's open up on Discord. Let's talk about it. Because again, my only concern about your, as I was brought up, is I want your ambition to be fulfillable through this campaign, through this group. If we can certainly make you, it's completely possible for you to be a famous actress, but when the other three move on to becoming like, spy masters or working directly for the head of your house, etc., where does that leave you? Behind, kind of, sort of. So I just want to make sure that we keep you here. You, Reza, are an important part of this group. We want to keep you. So let's talk about that. So that's just something I want you to keep in mind. Okay. Excellent. Casting or Jindo, any of your own ambitions?
Still weighing which is my primary drive, so that's sort of
that does keep that in limbo. Okay, Jindo, how about you?
I think Jindo's is to, again, he's kind of being used as a showpiece or as he doesn't feel like he's being utilized maybe to his full potential. So I think his ambition, his long-term goal is, to become the War Master of Gildrun, to be, a general, prove that he's not just an arm that cuts, he's not just a hired gun or a swordsman, he's more than that.
Cool. All right. Yeah, that works. I can definitely see that. Awesome. Cool. So yeah, I think that walks us through the whole process. Listen, during the week, what I'd like to talk about is let's hammer out some of this stuff. Let's talk about it amongst each other. Again, we are good sounding boards for each other. If you aren't sure what's going to work within a group, the best people to ask are the group. So don't be shy. I hope you guys are feeling comfortable enough with each other to be able to kind of open up like that and talk. Again, I know we just became not strangers at the beginning of this session, all of us. So let's build on that. And again, you guys are cool. I'm seeing I see so much potential coming from all of your characters and all. I kind of get a glimmer of each of your play styles, the ones I haven't played with before. And I like it. And I think it's going to be really fun and interesting when we get into this type of thing. So yeah, and let's also talk about some positions that are roles that are actually presently filled in the house on Discord. I don't feel like doing it right now. I want to kind of keep the focus on you all. Now, once we get done talking about the house, I want to kind of get it on you. But yeah, I see a lot of possibilities here. I have a couple ideas already for the very first session next week. And all kinds of interesting trouble, etc. I can get you in, or rather you can get yourself in or out of, depending on the character. I'm looking at you, Jindo. And then that kind of thing. So any questions at all about the campaign, about your characters, about the house, something that only the game master, which is me, would know? Anything I can do for you? Anything about my playstyle? I know Jonathan said he's been watching a couple of my other campaigns. I just as a note, I mean, I think Steve can attest. That's what I was looking for before, not contest, attest. Steve can attest to the fact that I like to try to keep things lighthearted but serious. I don't want my campaigns to become a big joke. I want them to be something that where we have fun with, but we have action and adventure that gets accomplished, and it's not just one running like The Monster of the Week came close, but it was still very fun to kind of keep those it was all on the characters' personalities, these running jokes. So that's what made it work for that. And I highly recommend you look. That's a really great campaign, the Monster of the Week one, down the road. But my play style is to keep things light. I'd like to see you guys laugh and smile at things we do. I would like to have you guys feel some adventure too, and accomplishment. Again, I talked about the spotlight thing. I want you guys to feel like you made the right choice in deciding to spend 3 hours of your week every week with me on a stream, and not like, oh crap, I'm stuck here And do I just, am I sick next week? Can I make myself sick next week? Etc. I don't want that kind of thing. Anyway, I want you to have fun. I want you to look forward to our sessions together. I'd like you to get to know each other better, because that always helps a group kind of work it out of character and in character. The only other thing I can say is I'm going to try to keep the spotlight even. I encourage each of you to kind of help get others in spotlights. So there's a time to make a bad decision. If the crappy decision that Castian makes is going to make an awesome scene for Reza, then that was a good decision. You just made some drama. You just made some fun and excitement and adventure, and that kind of thing. And that's cool. I'm not saying to put yourself into danger all the time or anything like that, but look for ways that everyone else at the table can kind of get a piece of the action and feel cool. Because you are cool. I'm here to tell you, Scott's Case Files thinks each of you guys are pretty darn cool. So, all right. Anything else? Anything I can tell you? Anything you're concerned about? Anything you're worried about? Anything you need clarification about? Need financial advice? I don't give that. So you're out of luck on that one. Okay. All right. Well, given nothing else, why don't we end the session a little early? I think we accomplished what we want, and we have a bunch of stuff we can talk about on Discord. And I'm really, really, really interested in getting to know your characters, because they're sounding all really cool, and they're going to work well together. So let's say goodbye to our players for now. Let's start over here with Jonathan.
Hi, I'm Jonathan. You can find me on Twitter at Jonathan Swadley. Check out the things I do, things I write. If you, like what we're doing here and stuff, support that, support Scott, support everybody, so spread the love and, keep your fellow nerds happy.
There you go. See? Well, that's a good one. Good one. And we have Danielle.
Hi, I'm Danielle. You can find me here on Twitch and also on Twitter as @RyeRaconteur. You can follow me for general nerdy things. I talk about books a lot. I also talk about TTRPGs and video games. And I write sometimes, so you can catch things like that too. I don't have anything else to plug right now. So that's it.
Awesome. And I have to say, Danielle, you game almost as much as Steve. Steve has like a very awesome gaming schedule, TTRPG schedule. I think you're close. You seem to be playing almost as much, but not quite to the Steve level.
I am playing
so good on you.
Every day. It's pretty intense.
Maybe you are at Steve level. I don't know.
I've tried
to get to Steve shortly. He has a problem. All right, awesome. So, and of course, Tinker Gnome.
Hi, I'm Susan. I'm Tinker Gnome. You can find me on Instagram at Tinker Gnome. I also do some crafting. You can find at Tinker Gnome Workshop on Instagram as well.
I don't have an Instagram.
Jewelry, some geeky jewelry.
That's
like
cool.
Stuff with meeples and dice cages and stuff. So,
what is a meeple?
Those are components for board games. They're usually shaped like little men.
Oh. Okay.
What he said.
Typically.
Cool. Well, that's awful cool. That's really creative. That's awesome. So good. I want to hear more. Now I have to freaking get an Instagram. God damn it. I don't do Instagram, but we'll see. So awesome, Susan, Tinker Gnome. And last but not least, we have Steve.
Just Steve.
Just Steve. Again, I actually have no idea if that's his real name or not. But if it's an alias, that's the one we've been using for several years now. I'm just going to go with it. It's working so far, so whatever. He's the least susceptible to ScottsCaseFiles groupies also. So that is really a beneficial thing there. Otherwise, I am ScottsCaseFiles, the channel you're watching. If you're watching me on Twitch, all my stuff is below. Think of following, subscribing, all that good stuff. Or, if you're watching me on YouTube, all the stuff, that stuff is in the description below. I hate to gush, but I always do. I don't hate to gush, really, but I have to say, I hate it. But I like gushing about my players. And again, we're seeing the start of something really cool. And I'm liking that all that they're doing and they're coming up with. And it's creative. And these are, again, like normal, these are 4 different RPG playstyles we're seeing here, and also different outlooks on characters, which is going to make it so very interesting. I'm very much looking forward to this campaign. So, all right, that's my gush of my players for now. And that's, again, the players are on top because they are the stars of the show, and they always will be. I am just a facilitator, and that is okay. So anyway, thank you for watching. Thank you for being awesome. Thank you to my players. Thank everybody out there. I hope you have a great week and it doesn't suck and that you're good to each other and things are good and you go forth and do no harm. And then we'll see you next week for this and next on Thursday for some Bedlam Hall action. I'll be doing some more world building on Tuesday, probably of the house that is the enemy of House Gildrun. And stay tuned for that. And otherwise, take care. Bye for now.